The motorcycle market in 2025 is collapsing faster than you can imagine. Over 45,000 new motorcycles are just sitting rotting on dealership lots across the US. And I'm not talking for a Harley-Davidson week or two. I'm talking 200 plus days of nobody touching them, not even kicking the tires. So, let's start with Harley-Davidson, the so-called American icon, the rebel brand, the company that practically screamed freedom and testosterone every time a bike started up. Yeah? Well, in 2025, Harley's Freedom Ride is looking more like a funeral procession. They've cut production by 25%. And guess what? Their showrooms are still overflowing like someone tried to hoard V-twins for the apocalypse. It's embarrassing. Let's look at the price tags. Entry-level models. Yes, entry-level, like the Harley prices. Nightster are now going for $12,000 to $15,500. That's what used to be called affordable. Touring bikes like the Road Glide or the Street Glide, they were $22,000 back in 2019. Now, north of $30,000, some pushing $35K. That's luxury car money for a bike. And you'd think at those prices, Harley would be delivering cutting-edge state-of-the-art tech. Right? Nah. They're still clinging to their beloved Milwaukee 8-engine like it's some sacred artifact from the Stone Age. Meanwhile, other brands are rolling out liquid-cooled engines, digital dashboards, advanced safety features. You know, normal stuff for 2025. Harley's still out here pretending it's 1998 and hoping no one notices. Remember, Harley Livewire. The Livewire, Harley's big electric moment. That thing launched at $30,000. $30,000 for an electric bike that nobody asked for and barely anyone bought. It flopped so hard they had to spin it off into its own brand like they were trying to hide the evidence. And the worst part, it showed just how disconnected Harley is from the next generation. The people who once idolized the loud pipe save lives vibe are now just gone. And Gen Z, they're not shelling out 30 grand for chrome and a logo. Even when Harley tried to move into modern territory with the Pan Am and Sportster S, both built with their newer Revolution Max engine, they just kind of dumped them there. Like, hey, here's some progress. But don't worry, we're still stuck in the past, too. It's like selling a Bluetooth toaster and packaging it in a vintage box from 1940. Now, let's move over to Indian motorcycles. Indian motorcycles. They came back from the dead once, and for a hot second it looked like they might actually rattle Harley's crown. But nah, they're following the same sad script. Production cuts. Yep, they're doing that, too. The showroom's quiet. The energy weird, like a party that ended 5 hours ago and no one told the DJ. And then they did the unthinkable in 2023. They changed the logo. Not just a tweak. They got rid of the iconic multicolor headdress and replaced it with a monotone corporatal-looking thing that looks like it was made by a guy who hates motorcycles. The forums lit up instantly. Writers calling it erasure, betrayal, an identity crisis. It was like pulling the soul out of the brand with a PowerPoint. Then there's the pricing. The Scout, once an entry bike, Indian pricing for fresh riders, now costs $12,000 to $15,000. What even is entry level anymore? That's rent. That's food. That's an entire used car. And despite Indian having modern machines like the FTR, they can't get enough people on board because their dealer network is way too thin. You break down, good luck finding parts or even a mechanic certified to fix the thing. And don't even get me started on their branding. It's like they're trying to be all things to all people. One ad is America Leather Freedom. The next is edgy urban cafe racer. You can't mix bandanas with skinny jeans and expect people not to notice the identity. Whiplash. It's confusing. And when you're selling lifestyle as much as you're selling machinery, confusion kills. If you're loving the chaos so far, hit subscribe because this mess is only getting messier. And trust me, you don't want to miss who's crashing next. Because just when you thought Harley and Indian were the only ones drowning in their own overpriced hype, here comes BMW pricing. BMW. Yes. Even the German engineering gods are not immune to the 2025 motorcycle apocalypse. You'd think a brand that sells itself as precision meets performance would be above the chaos. Nope. Their prized GS Adventure series now starts at $22,500 and change. That's the starting price. By the way, add a few features and you're staring down a motorcycle that costs more than most used sedans. And guess what? Even BMW's legendary brand name isn't saving them. Their bikes are sitting in dealership showrooms next to the same sad rows of Harleys and Indians, collecting dust, racking up floor plan financing charges, and BMW dealers, oh, they're panicking just like everyone else, throwing out record-breaking discounts like it's Black Friday. We're talking $5,000 to $8,000 off MSRP. And they're still getting the cold shoulder from buyers. Meanwhile, the people who did bite the bullet back in 2023 or 2024 and finance these high-end beauties are now staring at their monthly statements in horror. Because those $25,000 bikes they signed for, they're now worth 30% less. 30% less. That's not depreciation. That's robbery disguised as ownership. And let's not forget that interest rates are still hovering above 9%. So, you're paying way more in financing fees for something that's worth way less. Truly, an investor's dream. Now, let's talk about the so-called resilient brands. Honda. Starting with Honda. You know, the brand that built its entire image on being affordable, practical, reliable. Yeah, even Honda can't escape the price trap. Their Africa Twin, which used to be a favorite adventure bike at $13,300, now starts at over $16,000. That's assuming you don't need accessories, upgrades, or oxygen. And the value proposition that Honda used to own completely evaporated. Thanks. Inflation. Now, their bikes are sitting in showrooms longer than stale donuts in a gas station. The worst part, Honda's bread and butter, the entry-level buyers, are getting wrecked by financing. These were the folks who just wanted a dependable ride without a second mortgage. But now, thanks to interest rate insanity and tighter lending, even they can't get approved. Honda used to be the bike you could count on when nothing else made sense. Now, it's just another nice idea people scroll past. Yamaha. Then there's Yamaha, the brand that used to be the sweet spot between tech and price. What happened? Their mid-range models, once the perfect balance of power and practicality, are now sinking in the same quicksand as everyone else. The used market is overflowing. Financing is a joke, and even Yamaha's innovative edge can't save them from showroom purgatory. Their inventory is piling up. Cash buyers are disappearing, like logic in a dealership financing office. And yes, Yamaha is out here doing the whole desperate discounts routine, too, but with the same results. Silence, hesitation, and ghosted sales calls. Even though Yamaha's bikes still technically make sense, nobody's biting. Not because they're bad bikes, but because the system is broken and no one's taking the bait while the prices keep spiraling. And just when Yamaha thought they could stay above the chaos by being the smart choice, reality came knocking hard. They used to own that sweet middle ground. Reliable bikes, decent price, modern features. But in 2025, even Yamaha's getting torched. Their mid-range models are now collecting dust like everyone else's. And no one wants to commit when used. Inventory is flooding the market. Cash. Buyers gone. Financing, please. Even with solid bikes, Yamaha's caught in the same no-wind trap. The dealers are dangling incentives like candy at a Halloween party. But buyers aren't fooled. People are waiting for prices to drop even more. And Yamaha's left, holding the bag, wondering where all the fans went. And now, let's give a round of applause to Ducati, the luxury sport. Ducati, bike brand that thought exclusivity would shield it from economic disaster. Guess what? It didn't. In fact, Ducati's high-end image actually hurt it more. Because now that the brand nobody can afford and nobody wants to finance. Their core market, the performance living, brand flexing rider, is either completely priced out or too smart to pay $30,000 for a bike that drops 30% in value before it hits 1,000 M. Yes, you heard that right. Ducati owners from 2023 are already underwater by 25 to 30%. These aren't bikes anymore. They're debt grenades. And Ducati dealerships, they're doing what they never used to do, slashing prices, bundling accessories, and even offering 0% promos just to stop the bleeding. That were too good to discount energy. Gone. Now it's please take this Panigale, so we can keep the lights on. And while all this is happening, the final numbers are looking worse every month. Even the giants can't pretend it's just a seasonal slump anymore. Harley and Indian are losing cultural relevance. Like it's leaking out of the gas tanks. BMW and Ducati are choking on luxury financing fallout. Honda and Yamaha struggling to keep their price sensitive buyers from walking away completely. Repossession rates are up 28% year over year. That's not a bump. That's a trend. Loan rejections are exploding with 1 in 5 applicants now getting denied. And the worst part, brand loyalty is straight up collapsing. Riders aren't sticking around waiting for things to turn. They're selling, defaulting, or just giving up altogether. Dealerships are throwing Hail Marys with wild discounts, freebies, 0% financing, whatever it takes. But it's not working. Inventory isn't moving. The lots are packed. The desperation is real. And while we're at it, let's talk about Suzuki, the brand. Suzuki. Nobody expected to fall apart this quietly. You'd think the Hayabusa alone could carry them. Right. Wrong. That iconic beast used to be a $14,000 dream machine. Now it's creeping toward $19,000 and suddenly it's not looking so sexy anymore. Suzuki's lineup isn't flashy enough to demand luxury pricing, and not cheap enough to compete in the budget game. They're stuck in limbo, ignored, overpriced, and running out of room to hide. Just another name slipping into the fog of 2025's motorcycle mess. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what crashes.